6.0, which is planning. So 6.1 is titled Actions to Address Risk and Opportunities. 6.1.1 says, when planning for the QMS, the organization shall consider the issues referred to in 4.1, which again, if I go back over to the slides here, is here, who are we trying to please, 4.1, and that's your relevant interested party. So whoever these people or groups of people or agencies are saying, we need to consider those issues in the requirements referenced in 4.2, which is this piece here. This is the needs and expectations of those interested parties. And we need to determine the risk and opportunities that need to be addressed. It doesn't say determine all risk and all opportunities and address all of them. We're looking at determine risk and opportunities and then deciding which of those need to be addressed. For example, you might have a risk associated with employees driving to the workplace every day. There's not much that you can do, especially if you're a parts manufacturer, in terms of allowing all employees to work from home, just because there's a risk that's inherent to having employees drive to and from work. So you might say, well, that's a risk, but we're really not, that's outside of the scope of what we do. Although I have seen companies that will say, they'll have policies, for example, if you're driving to or from work, you are not allowed, or it's expected of you to put the phone down, certainly not be driving and texting or on a call if you're using the work phone or in between work assignments from one location to the next. But the idea here is determining what your risk and opportunities are and then picking your battles. Which ones are you going to address? And there's a breakdown here. It says to give assurance that the QMS can achieve its intended results. So some things will be outside of the scope. The other thing is to address those things that enhance desired effects, prevent or reduce undesired effects, and achieve improvement. So the idea is, what factors do we need to address related to the QMS, increasing the good stuff, decreasing the bad stuff, and continuously improving the QMS. The organization shall plan actions to address these risks and opportunities and how to integrate and implement those actions into the QMS and evaluate the effectiveness of those actions. So really, all right, let's imagine you have 100 things that are opportunities for improvement or significant risk to your organization. What's the process of organizing those, prioritizing those? When you take action against those risks and opportunities, how do you evaluate that your activity, that your actions that you took were really effective or not? Do you need to go back to the drawing board as it relates to risk? So on and so forth. Actions to address risk and opportunities shall be proportionate to the potential impact on the conformity of products and services. So if there's a high risk or high opportunity, high reward associated with a potential impact to your, let's say, your key products or services, then you should have a proportionate plan and take action that meets the importance of that opportunity or risk. A couple notes here, I'm not going to go through those, but let's switch over to 6.2, objectives, the quality objectives and planning to achieve them. I really wish this word wasn't there, but 9001 is the scope of this standard, is talking about quality. But a lot of times I see students and consulting clients that want to limit this to only the quality process. So I wish that would be changed, but for now it is what it is. But it says the organization, and this is a 6.2.1, shall establish quality objectives at relevant functions, levels, and processes needed for the QMS. Where I see a lot of companies going wrong is with this one. The metrics, the KPIs or PPIs are at a level that's too high. So I don't want to see something like, we want to get 5 more percent, more percent in the market share. If I'm the customer service representative talking to the customer and typing in order details, that's just too far away. It's a level that's way too high. So we want to see metrics that actually make sense for each of the functions, each of the jobs, the people that are working within the system, that actually makes sense for them. Quality objectives shall be consistent with the quality policy, measurable. It doesn't have to be scientific. It could be, everybody voting yes, maybe no, but we want to be measurable, like SMART goals. You want to be able to detect whether you're able to meet the metrics or not. Take into account applicable requirements. Those metrics or quality objectives need to be relevant to the conformity of products and services and to enhance customer satisfaction. So this might be a number of defects that got out of the building. This might be a customer score. The objectives need to be monitored, communicated, and updated as appropriate. The organization shall maintain documented information on the quality objectives. 6.2. So let me pause real quick. So I had mentioned in clause 4 and in clause 5, this maintain documented information. So basically documenting quality objectives. So those are the only 3 explicit requirements for what they're calling maintain documented information. Procedure, work instruction, checklist, spray painting the documented information, in this case quality objectives on the wall, what have you. But there are only 3 explicit areas, and we saw that in 4.1, or where was that? 4.3 for scope, clause 5 for the quality policy, and you see it here for objectives. Back to 6.2, when planning how to achieve the quality objectives, the organization shall determine, this is a strange section, but in the planning of quality objectives, what will be done, what resources will be required, who will be responsible for what, when it will be completed, and how the results will be evaluated. So again, back to kind of the SMART goals acronym. It's good to have quality objectives, but you need to determine a timeline, what resources are going to be required in order to achieve those objectives, who are your process owners or assignees for those particular individual objectives, when will it be completed, how are the results going to be evaluated. And 6.3, planning for changes. But when the organization determines that there's a need for a change to the QMS or to a specific process, the changes need to be done in a very deliberate, planned manner. So when it says C 4.4, so going back over to this document again, we see here, if there's any of these 18 QMS processes, let's say in this example, and there's going to be any changes. So that's what this is saying. Make sure that those processes are changed in a planned manner. The organization shall consider the purpose of the changes and potential consequences. So what could happen if we make a change? Let's say we're going to add another shift. We only have 1 shift operation. Now we're going to add 2. What are the potential consequences? We need to also consider the integrity of the QMS. What could happen to the overall QMS, not just one process, but the whole system in general. The availability of resources. Do we have the resources available to cover multiple shifts? The allocation or reallocation of responsibility and authority. I see this piece being missed a lot, where we'll assign, basically you're overloading one person, let's say frontline leader, like a team leader. You're taking a team leader and giving them responsibility for oversight of various workstations, but then someone doesn't show up for work, and that team leader then goes into an operational role, an operator role. They're running a machine or something like that. Well, you need to understand that now you've just taken that resource that's supposed to be supervising that line, and now you've moved them, you've reallocated that energy and those activities of oversight to running a machine. So what is the consequence of that? And I think oftentimes organizations kind of can drop the ball there related to this piece. All right, that's clause 6. We'll move on to clause 7 in the next video.